sorry about that, but anyway, I just don't understand why in the world they would want people to speak negatively about their cause, because if they speak negative about the cause, then that means they're not going to want to help them in their cause. I mean, if I was wanting to fight for, for some sort of cause, the last thing I would want is for people to, to be hating on the cause, rather than I'd want them to be encouraged to help with the cause. But I'm going to go ahead and list down some things of why I will not go along with the climate change stuff. And I'm only going to speak for myself because I can't speak for all conservatives, excuse me. But first and foremost, I would not go along with it because I believe what God says. And he says that he's going to bring in a new heaven and new earth, and the old heaven and old earth, which is where we are now, the old earth, is going to be gone away. So first and foremost, I believe God and what he says is going to happen. Secondly, the globalists, even though they claim that they do this stuff for humanity, it's all about saving humans, it's all about saving the next generations, they constantly prove over and over again that it isn't about saving human lives. It's actually just about them wanting to throw a temper tantrum and get attention. And they prove it constantly. Just, for example, yesterday I saw a viral clip going around, and I believe this took place in England. This mom, she can't, once again, there was globalist people, blocking traffic again, and this mom comes out and she says, hey, I need to get to the hospital. I need to get my baby to the hospital. And you know what they did? They just looked at her stone cold. They just gave her a stone cold blank stare and just kept staying in the way of traffic. Not one of them said, okay, we need to move out of the way so she can get her baby to the hospital. Not one of them moved. Not one of them took initiative to help her at all. They keep preaching, we gotta save the next generation. We gotta do more to save our kids, to save the kids from pollution and blah, blah, blah. They had an opportunity to save a child, and they just stood there and did nothing. Also, they show that they're not concerned about humanity because they know, speaking of them being traffic, they show that because they know full and well that if they... Sorry, I gotta put this down. There we go. But anyway, they know full and well that if they choose to block traffic, they know they're potentially blocking emergency vehicles, police officers, ambulance, firefighters. And they know if they do that, they are stopping them from helping people. And that could cost somebody's life. As for the mom and that baby, I really, really hope she was able to get her child to the hospital. Because listen, we don't know what all was going on. We do not know if it was a life or death situation. It probably could have been. It probably could have been a life or death situation for that child. We don't know. I hope for her and the child's sake that it was, and I hope it was just maybe the child had a broken arm or something. I mean, I'd rather be that than a life or death situation for the baby. But we don't know so far all the details that was going on there, or at least I don't yet. But I'm hoping that if it was a life or death situation, I really hope she was able to get her child to the hospital in time. I really do. Because my heart would break for her if her child passed away, especially because of them selfish people. But yes, they know that every time they block traffic like that, they are potentially blocking people from getting the medical help that they need. They're potentially blocking police officers from coming to from saving people from a shooting, or maybe they're trying to assist emergency vehicles and with with help. You know there's just so much that can go wrong because of them choosing, just the globalists choosing to stand in their way, and it could cost someone's life. What I do not want to happen is to hear a story of a person in an emergency vehicle, or someone that was in a burning building, or there was a shooting going on or something, and someone ends up being killed, all because period. But I wouldn't want that, period, but I definitely would not want that to happen, all because the globalists chose to stand in the way of people getting the help that they needed. And I cannot, tell England what they should do with their laws. I mean, I think they should do this, but I can't tell them what to do with their laws. But as far as America goes, as an American, in all 50 states, there should be laws passed that says that if people block traffic and potentially stop someone from getting the medical help that they need and a person passes away, then they should be charged with murder. Excuse me for a second. Sorry about that, but anyway, I think, if someone ends up losing their life because of them standing in the way of them getting the help they needed, they should be charged with, well, I think it should probably go as far as them being charged with murder. And the reason being, again, is because they know that if they stand in the way of emergency vehicles, or if they stop the public, that they could potentially cause someone to lose their life. Because in that lady's situation, I was taking her baby to the hospital. If they stop anybody from, whether it's an emergency vehicle or regular person, that's not in any of those, that's not any of those fields. If they stop anybody from being able to get the medical attention that they need, either for themselves or for their loved one, or stop a police officer from doing his job or whatever, and someone dies or gets killed because of it, that, like with a situation with a police officer, like say he's trying to go stop a shooting and the globalists stop him, I don't know if murder charges should be charged in that situation. I don't know with that, but with them blocking like an ambulance or a or someone else that's trying to take their family member to a hospital or whatever, and again they don't get the medical attention they need, or stop firemen from saving people from burning building. I think, or maybe in all situations, I don't know, but they should be charged. They should be charged, and one of the charges should probably be murder, because again they know that they're potentially, risking somebody passing away if they choose to stand in the way of emergency vehicles. Or stand in the way of somebody trying to, get their loved one to the hospital. And if there's a situation where someone loses their job because of them, then that person should be able to sue them to oblivion for them losing their job. And going back to the emergency vehicle situation, if someone passes away because of the globalist standing in the street, then not only should the globalists should suffer, a prosecution, but they should also be sued by both the state and the loved ones of the person that unfortunately passed because of them. And they should not just get little slaps on the wrist either. They should suffer consequences. Because when that starts to happen, maybe they'll quit their crap. But the first reason, again, I believe God. I don't believe everything when it comes to climate change. I don't believe all the stuff they're saying when it comes to that. My second reason, they have shown that they don't really care for humanity. And the third reason kind of goes along with the second. The third reason is because a lot of these people seem to care more about animals than they do human beings. And that's something I will never agree with in a million years. If I had to choose between saving children and save the polar bear, I'd be like, well, sorry about you, polar bear. Kids come first. Humans come first. I think the cause should not... listen, I fully agree that we should do better at taking care of the earth. I'm in no argument there. We should keep, oil out of the water. We should do better at picking up trash and stuff like that. But I've seen plenty of globalist people who say we gotta clean the earth, but yet they themselves won't do it. There's been different videos of them doing protests, and what happens? They leave a bunch of trash all over the place behind. But anyway, again, I agree we should do better at cleaning up the earth. I agree that we should have respect for, God's other creatures and want to save endangered species, but we should never care more about that than human beings. Human beings should always be first, especially children. I remember years ago there was a situation that this bear came into the home of this woman and was trying to attack her and her children, and she had no other choice but to shoot the bear in order to stop it from hurting her children. And a bunch of animal loving people chose to write to her saying to her that they want to kill her and kill her children, that she and her children should die because she shot the bear. And I found that absolutely stupid, pathetic, evil, and asinine. I'm sorry, but if I had to choose between Smokey the bear and the kids, I'm going to choose the bear. Sorry about you, Smokey. The kids are more important than you, Smokey. Sorry. Not sorry. And sadly, there's even a bunch of women who are wives and who are mothers who are in this Facebook group or something that are proudly proclaiming that they love their dogs more than their husband and more than their kids. And they also proudly say that if they had to choose between saving their dog's life and their kid's life, they'll save the dog. And their excuse is, well, the dog gives me more love and respect than my husband and my kids do. Maybe your husband and your children are not the problem. Let's see, they watch you give more attention to the dog, show more love to the dog, and yet you wonder why they don't give you the love and respect that you think you deserve? Sorry, woman, but if you choose to love an animal above your husband and kids, you don't deserve no respect from them. Don't get me wrong. I don't think, your kids should be allowed to, put you down, or that your husband should be able to put you down. I'm not saying you should deserve to be mistreated, but how can you honestly expect them to want to respect you in any way if you choose to love an animal above them? I've said this to my husband, and this goes for anybody in generally. If you are going to love an animal above your own family, then you do not deserve that animal. You should not have no pet. And also, well, you kind of don't deserve your family either. So here's two solutions for you. You can either learn to love and respect your kids and your husband more than your daggone animal. You can get rid of your animal. Or if you want to, for single ladies, here, if you don't want to be a mom, here's a number one solution for you. So easy, and it's not impossible to do, because I know. Here's you. Here we go. You want to know? If you don't want to be a mom, don't want to deal with, being a mom, here you go. Here's what you do. Bam! That's simple. There you go. Problem solved. But if you chose to be a mom and you chose to be a wife, deal with it. Deal with it. You chose that route. Deal with it. Deal with it. Quit whining and complain about it. And quit acting like that you yourself are Miss Perfect. That you're not causing no issues. You loving that dog above your own family is probably the main problem here in your situation. If you're in a situation with your husband and he's like cheating on you, or if he's beating on you, or using drugs or whatever, I'm not saying you should stay in that relationship. You should at the very least say, you can separate from him, but why then choose to stay? If you choose to stay in a situation like that, that's on you. But as far as your kids go, yes, I understand it's not always easy with kids. Sometimes they can be very bratty. Many times they don't want to listen. But part of being a mom is to deal with that and to try to teach your kids to respect you. Sometimes you're going to have to discipline them. Sometimes you're going to have to maybe spank them with your hand, or put them in timeout. Maybe you have to take the game system from them. Do what you gotta do to get them, as long as you don't go into abuse, do not go into abuse, but do what you gotta do to get your kids to respect you. But the rule of respect is, if you want respect, you gotta give respect. Respect is not freely given all the time, it's earned. And if you're choosing to love and respect an animal above your kids, how does that say to your kids, hey, respect me? The last thing they're going to want to do for you is respect you when they're seeing you love an animal above them. And rightly, and why should they think otherwise? Because you're the mom, you just deserve to be treated like a queen by your husband and kids no matter what you do? Baloney. That sounds like feminist crap to me. No. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean you get to have all the love and respect in the world when you choose to do wrong against your own family. Nope. No. Love your husband, love your kids first, and then you can expect love and respect back. If as far as your husband goes, if all that's going on between you and him is that you have disagreements and that you got financial problems or whatever, sorry, Chickie D, you need to learn how to work with him to fix that. You chose to get married, and if you did this in church, and if you got married in church, you chose to swear before God that you're going to be with him for better or for worse. And listen, God takes vows very seriously. You don't get to just say, well, this is just too hard for me. You chose this path. You chose it. Deal with it. Own it. If you got to go to marriage counseling, do it. If you're a Christian believer, ask the Lord to show you. But you know what? Go to book Ephesians and Proverbs and stuff. Let it tells you what a woman should really do for her husband in a marriage. And maybe the biggest thing for some of you ladies is to let the feminist mindset go. They'll save you a whole heck of a lot more trouble if you did just that. But if you're going to go on with this attitude of, I should be treated like a queen no matter what I do, don't expect your husband or your kids to respect you. If you choose to love, whether you're a man or a woman, if you are a person that's in any relationship, marriage or no marriage, or worse, if you got kids and you choose to love that animal above your kids, you should not expect anything less than disdain from your loved ones. You shouldn't expect anything less than your kids not want to give you respect, and worse yet, being upset with your animal. Because they're going to learn to hate your animal, which is not good for them or the animal. And it really sickens me that you got those women that are in that group proudly saying that they'll rather save the life of their dog than their children. If I was in a situation where I was around one of those women and they was going to do that, I will save their kids, and I will save their children for her, and I will report her to the freaking CPS. Part of me, wants... Never mind, I'm not going to go there. But you know what? I'm not going to save the daggone dog. No, if it's a situation where they're on the roof, it falls, let it fall. I'm saving the kids. If you women are not going to save your own children, then you don't deserve to be a mom. You need to really rethink your values. You really do. You chose to be a wife. You chose to be a mom. Be one. That's the path you chose. You could have chosen to stay single and love all you want, but you chose to be a mom. You chose to be a wife. Own it. Deal with it. Work with it. The problem may not be your husband and your kids. The problem is probably you. Most likely, it's you. But going back to the original subject. Now that I'm done with that rant, going back to the original subject. Another reason why I will not go along with the globalist stuff, as I point out in the first clip, is because they are huge hypocrites. I mean, they tell everybody else, stop using plastic, stop using cars and this and that, but yet you see them use jets, you see them use cars, you see them use planes, you see them use plastic. They got plastic in their glasses, they got plastic in, the cups, all kinds of stuff. They tell you to give up everything, but they won't give nothing up. And that woman in that article, I'm going to post a link to it, but again, she says it's a delicate balance. Okay, well, let's see if a Christian person judges you for something, and they turn around and do it, and you try to point out their hypocrisy, and they say, well, it's just a delicate balance. Yeah, let's see how well that works. Yeah. Let's see if you still agree with that nonsense. I'm trying to see if I can think of anything else. I'm real, I'm very sick of people devaluing human life. Rather, it's an abortion or in the global situation where they're taking risk of people dying in emergency vehicles and stuff because they're nonsense, or those ladies who say they love their dogs more than their kids. I am so sick of people devaluing human life. God has made every single person for a purpose. Now, that doesn't mean that every single, God gives us free will, and sadly, a lot of people choose to do evil. And those globalists and those ladies who say they love their dogs above more than kids are examples of that. But as human beings, the number one people we should the number one thing we should be concerned about is saving human lives, especially the innocent. That should be that should be that should be one of our very top goals. But no, you got all these leftists that are trying so hard to make mankind believe that humanity is no longer of an importance. That it's not important no more. That we're just a clump of cells that's just gonna live and die. They don't want to be concerned about, criminals committing crime against humanity. They'd rather prosecute, people that they'd rather prosecute people to the max who do far less than 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 child rapists, murderers, and felons. The justice system so daggone messed up. It's supposed to be for protecting people, but sadly, for the most part, seemingly does the exact opposite. It's just messed up. It's no wonder that God wants to destroy the earth. It's no wonder. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. But you know what? And God and people may wonder, why God hasn't done nothing yet. It's because it says in the Bible he's trying to save as many souls as he possibly can before he does it. If you read the Bible throughout, before God choose to destroy a city or destroy earth or a nation, whatever, he always tries to save a remnant of people first, every time. He always tries to give people a chance to come to him. I mean, even with the story of Noah, people could have chose to believe God, but they didn't. Only Noah and his family. Nobody else. Not even, and when with Lot, when Lot escaped with his family, he tried to warn his daughter's husbands, and they just laughed at him and chose not to believe, and their fate was sealed. Seeing all the stuff that people do to each other, all the evil that people do to each other, it is no wonder that God wants to destroy this earth. I don't blame him. It's no wonder that hell exists. It's no wonder that God has to condemn people. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Human beings are very selfish, but because of the Lord, human beings are also capable of doing good. And because of that, we are concerned about, that's why police exist. That's why ambulance and firefighters and regular public people who will assist someone in different situations, whether they want to, help the starving or save someone from a dangerous situation. Because of God, because of Jesus, because of the Spirit, because of God, we are capable of doing good. And we're capable, because of Him, we are not as so far down and as dark as we could be. As far as a lot of people goes. I'm trying to explain this. What I mean by that is that if it weren't for God, all of us would be completely evil. Not one person would care about the other. But because of God, it's not like that. Because of God, we still have humanity. We still have morality. But we need to remind each other that humanity and morality is important. And speaking of which, fossil fuels and stuff like that is not nor near as important as the issue of sex trafficking. I think if there's one thing we need to all get together and agree upon, all different creeds, religions, and, beliefs or whatever, the one thing we should all agree upon is that human trafficking and sex trafficking is a very evil and immoral thing, and all of us should be fighting together to stop that. Especially again that especially in helping the children. We need to help the men and the women as well. Don't get me wrong. We need to help all of them, but especially with the children, we should all agree that human trafficking is something that has to be annihilated, that has to be done, that we need to stop altogether. Fossil fuels is not as important as that. It's just not. Again, I agree we should do better and taking care of the earth and taking care of the animals, but the lives of human beings is far more important than that. We should do both, but the more important issue is saving people from human trafficking. That's more important than the fossil fuels.